amazing gearbox, beautiful roads. Oh. This is what driving's all about. This is what cars are all about for me. This. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. This is actually a total reshoot of a video I tried to do last week. I really want to get more into driving content because that's what I'm all about, is driving. And what I wanted to do today was cover over the things after owning this car for sort of 3-4 weeks now that I absolutely love, and why I think this is probably one of the best modern driver's cars under £35,000. And what I mean by modern is, you know, it's within 3 years old. It's something with sort of like, you know, electric steering, quite a lot of electronic aids. But what I want to do is cover over on this drive, and you're going to see some beautiful roads today. Let's cover off why I love it, and as someone who's really into driving and getting amazing feedback and control for a car, of why I actually have utterly fallen in love with this car and why I actually think it's probably perfect for me. So hopefully you enjoy the video. Hopefully there's things you can relate to. If you're already a BMW or M owner, I'm sure you'll pick up this similar things. Or if you're in the market for a new car and you're looking at the competition of what other cars you could get in this bracket, like I was weighing up, you may find this informative. So let's get into it. So before I actually go over the car itself, I want to just tell you, oh, it's a bit hot in here, fucking hell. I want to tell you what my criteria was for the car, right? And I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't really want to spend this much money. And of course, like most people buying a car this expensive, it's on finance to make it affordable. But I had to come from a 996 911 Carrera, as you know if you've watched any of my other videos or seen my Instagram. And before that, I had a BMW M2 LCI, which is like the step below this. It was an auto, however. And tunnel. Hang on, this is important work. That'll always put a smile on my face, that one. But yeah, back to the criteria. So what was I looking for when buying a new car? A, affordable. So I was very specific on the parameters that I wanted to pay per month and deposit. I managed to get an amazing deal for a broker, Charles and Dean. I would never recommend, coming from selling cars, I wouldn't recommend financing through a dealer unless it's a new car finance deal. Otherwise you're going to have your pants firmly pulled down. But I was looking for something new enough that it shouldn't go wrong, so within 3 years old, and I wanted something that didn't really have many commonly reported issues with it. I wanted something that felt like an old school car in the way that it drove, in the principles of the car. And when I looked at what I could have, there was a few things that stood out as primary cars I wanted to buy. F80 M3, F84 M4 competition or non-competition, M2 competition, E92 M3, RS3 purely for the engine, and that's it. The RS3, and that was about it, to be honest. I'm not about buying a car because it's got a cool badge. I'm not about buying a car because it's expensive or people are going to think I'm a baller. Fuck all that. I just want a car that's going to drive and put a smile on my face and exhilarate me. And one of the most important things was a manual transmission. So that threw the RS3 out the window. And when I was looking for an M4, you can barely ever buy those or an M3 in manual. There was a few E92s around, but the issue with those are A, they're quite rare cars, especially in manual. They only made them up to 2012-ish roughly, and A, they're a lot of money, so they're like 23 grand for a nice LCI 2012. Plus, I didn't really want the maintenance worries and costs of all the rod bearings and I think it's throttle actuators. Then I was looking at the S55 in the M4, 3 and M2 competition, and there's two things I hate about those engines: sound and common problems, turbo seals and crank hub bearing. And don't get me wrong, it's probably one of those things that's totally overhyped on the internet like everything else, but it was another worry to the list. And when I was watching reviews on YouTube, and I do so much research on YouTube, there was a particular video, and I'll try and find a link to it and put it in this, of Chris Harris driving the OG N55 M2 on, I think it was Top Gear actually, wherever it was, sliding it around, and he basically said that this is the car you buy if you want a 90s M3 experience in the modern day. And that sold it to me, because I'm such a fan of old school BMWs, but I can't really afford to run them. It's just too many unexpected costs, too much anxiety. That's not for me. So this became the car, and I used to work at BMW back a few years ago, and I was at BMW when the M2 first came out in 2016, and I just fell in love with the way it looked and sounded and everything, and I just love this car. You blip it down into second, I'm in Sport Plus. Oh. Not only does it go very well, don't get me wrong, it's not going to go as well as an M4, but the whole car feels so alive. There's so much feedback wriggling through this whole car. I can feel the texture of the road. Even though this is an E-Pass electronic power steering system, I can feel what's going on. I can feel all the texture of the road and the lumps and bumps and what's going on under the tyres through the chassis. And on a new car, that's unheard of. And I've driven an M4, and they're amazing cars, but they're very big and boaty, in my opinion. Well, it's just an opinion, don't shoot me down, guys. And I think they're manageable power levels. Like, it's a rear-wheel drive car. I mean, this lights it up in every, well, most gears. M4 does it even worse. See? Oh, fucking hell, I love this car. It puts such a smile on your face, and that is what it's all about, right? Fucking love it. Honestly, every time I drive it, I'm giggling and smiling, and the way it was wiggling all around the road, when obviously when you want it to. That's because I'm telling it to do that. It's not doing that because it's uncontrollable. But not only that, because it's an LCI facelift model, it means that you get the modern tech that you would want in the competition or the M4 or whatever. So you've got the touchscreen, LED screen, and the Harman Kardon, digital dials. And for me, I love music. I love listening and rocking out to a good tune while I'm hooning, which this car is great for because of the Harman Kardon and the Spotify interface here. Bloody amazing, I love that. But as I'm turning the wheel, it weights up beautifully, and I know exactly what's going on. There's feedback coming through and pulling me to the undulations of the road through the wheel, which again, in an E-Pass system, is so rare. And so I've driven the 991.2 Carrera S and GTS around a track at Porsche Experience Centre. Those twin turbo motors, first of all, are fucking amazing, and B, those cars have got amazing electronic power assisted steering systems. This car also does amazingly, but this is such a I don't know, I want to call it old school, but I haven't driven a massive amount of old school cars to tell you, but it just feels nothing like other modern cars I've driven. It feels quite raw in its nature, right? So the biggest thing I love about this car, and one of the reasons I think you should consider one, is if you are a car nerd like me, you love driving, you like a fast but reliable road car, you like a country road, you like a manual, you like rear-wheel drive and an inline 6. I hate 4 cylinders. I like inline 6 or inline 5 or something like that. This is the car for you. And they're got to a point where they're quite attainable. Like 40 grand was too much for me. 30 grand doesn't buy you that much anymore. Usually quite old models and a lot of ragged cars and sometimes Cat D and S write-offs. So there's a sweet spot of cars that are on the market at the moment between 33 and 35, and this is one of them. Please consider one if you're looking at them. But now I'm going to do less talking and just a bit more driving within the limitations of the road and the law, of course. And I'm going to be about to show you some fantastic roads. Sorry, mate. I get asked a lot, how does this car compare to the B58 motor that I had in the M2 LCI? And the question, and the real answer to that is, it's such a different beast, but I prefer it. And that's not me being biased because I've now got this. It's got so much more character. I fucking love this car. You can't beat it, I swear. Cows! Woo! You put it wherever you want and it'll go there. It's so pinpoint accurate. Anyway, tangents after tangents. Back to the B58 motor. Fantastic engine. Absolutely almost perfect. But it's a tad soulless. So you've got shit tons of torque through almost all of the rev range except the top end, arguably. Whereas this has quite a fair amount of turbo lag at about 2000. You can hear the turbo spooling up, almost like an old RB Skyline engine or something. And then about 2 grand, all the way to 7, you've got shit tons of power. But you know that it's not as quick as the M240, because especially with the ZF Auto, it was bang, 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 gear, 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 and you're absolutely smashing it. Oh, I love this bit of road. Fuck. This gearbox is beautiful. Anyway, back to the engine. This has got so much character. This feels quite old school in nature, and to be fair, it is. It's quite an old engine now. This is obviously the N55B. The B has quite a substantial amount of different hardware inside of it. You know, things like the piston rings, the piston liners, the pistons themselves, oil feeds, all sorts is different on the M2. But you know, there is scope to tune it a bit as long as you add the intercooler and the cooler inside of it. Great feel through the chassis, amazing steering, amazing gearbox, beautiful roads. Oh. This is what driving's all about. This is what cars are all about for me. This. And this is on my doorstep. This isn't even Wales or something yet, or Scotland. I don't know what you guys like in cars. We're all different, and that's what makes it fun. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. But whenever I'm seeing people on Instagram or F-Type, or whatever it is, and they're showing off their car, and it's all about straight line figures and half mile, quarter mile times. I mean, that's all impressive and good fun. And if that's what you're into, fair play. I couldn't give a toss. I just care about this. I care about being at one with the car, being connected to it, and being able to enjoy it on a curvaceous landscape like this. Fucking love it. I'm really a in what I like from a car. I'm all about driver feel, driver engagement and fun. And you don't need 500 horsepower to have fun. That's bollocks. You can have fun in a MX-5, you can have fun in a Civic Type R. Doesn't matter what you're in, it's about how you can use it and how it makes you feel when you're driving it. And that's what this car, I think, does amazingly, considering it's a new car. The car I always compare it to, and to be honest, one of my dream cars, is an E46 M3. And I wanted one, but I couldn't justify the running costs and the upkeep of one of those. It's an old car, I need to still be able to drive to clients and things through work. This is the next best thing to an E46 M3, and it's 3 years old. And if you get a competition, which admittedly is an amazing car, I just don't like that engine, you've got a brand new car that's basically, in essence, a spiritual successor to the E46 M3. If you buy one in DCT, you're a moron. You're an absolute moron if you don't buy this car in a manual. And if you just don't like manuals, whatever, I haven't got time for that. I love manuals, that's my thing. And it's such a pleasure to use, it's so positive, it's so notchy and oh, fucking brilliant. BMW smashed it out of the park with this car. Yeah, back to the swearing thing. I am who I am. I'm a very weird, quirky person. I'm not here to please people. I'm here to hopefully bring some relatable content to some petrol heads who are similar to me, and hopefully meet some. Oh, a fucking pheasant, you little bastard! And hopefully bring some content to people like me, and meet up with you guys when Boris's were allowed and all that shit, and have a laugh. Whenever I'm out with people like myself, we're just having a laugh in cars. You know, people take life too seriously is the problem. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my very passionate thoughts on this car, and I got some all-ass golf up my arse now, so I'm going to have to deal with that. And thank you very much for watching. Fucking hell, this car's fantastic! Buy one! Fucking buy one! I'll see you guys in the next video. If you like it, give me a comment. Tell me what other stuff you want to see on the M2. What other videos you want me to make. If you like it enough to give it a like or subscribe to me, feel free. If not, don't worry. No worries. Anyway, catch you in the next video, guys.